Hi, I'm Andy Piddock, and this channel is all about making and doing interesting stuff with the LiveCode programming language. I'm going to start this video by wishing that you all stay safe and healthy during these tough times of the COVID-19 virus. Working together, being sensible and caring for others, we will all get through this. In this video, I will be making a baby name generator based on the naming system that Elon Musk and his girlfriend, the singer Grimes, have used to name their baby. And I take this opportunity to wish them well on their new and exciting journey together. I will be putting a link to the source code in the description, and if you don't already have a copy of LiveCode, head over to livecode.org and grab yourself a copy of the community open source version for free. So let's get started. The stack will be pretty simple. It will have a single button which generates the name under this fun baby graphic, and under the graphic the new generated name. So let's start by creating a new stack. And I'll resize this to 360 by 480. So let's just quickly do that. So bring up the stack property inspector, bring that on the screen for you. The size 360 480. Okay, that's a reasonable size. We'll get the stack named. And we'll title the stack Elon Musk baby name generate. I'll put that generate. Name generator, and I'll just copy that over into the title and put some spaces in there for readability. I just want to capitalize the B in the baby to keep it all the same format, which I'd like to see. Right. So we now have the stack the right size, it's been named, and the last thing I want to do to the stack is I want the background to be white. So let's just quickly go and change that in the properties as well. Background fill, click on there, choose white. Okay, and now I want to save this. File, save as. And I think I'll just make a folder on the desktop for the moment. My mouse is a bit non-responsive today, folder. And we will, I should be able to just paste the name into there again. Okay, good. And we'll save it into there for the moment. Good. Right, so we want button to actually generate the name. There's going to be an image graphic underneath, and then there will be a field here for the name that's been generated. So let's just pop a button in here. I won't put anything in here yet. We'll come back to that. And we'll put a label field in here, which I'm just going to stretch across the width of the stack. Because what I want to do to that, we just name it. I'm going to name the label field LBL result, and I'm going to center the text. I want to make it a little bit bigger, and I want to use something a bit more like handwriting. What do we have? Lucinda Hyde handwriting. I think it's quite good. Let's try that. Okay, so that will be the results field. That's where the names are going to be generated. We have a button up here, which I'm going to call btn generate. Very straightforward. It looks, I don't really like the look of it at the moment, so let's change it to a rounded rectangle, and let's resize it a little bit. Let's just have a look, see what that looks like. Oh, that's quite nice. So we'll just leave that like that for the moment. I think it's pretty well centered. Yep. Okay, so let's just save that as far as we've got. What else do we want to do now? Okay, we now need to add or import 3 images. I have already collected these, and I will put the source in the description. So let's go File, Import as Control, Image File, and let's just see if I can remember where I put these. Images. Yep. So I'm going to select all of those and open. And I've already resized these images. So if we have a look in the project browser, we see we've now got these 3 images imported. I can quickly just cycle through each one so you can see what they are. And I want to rename them so they're just baby 1, baby 2, and baby 3. We don't need to see these at the moment, so I'm going to set their visibility to hidden here in the project browser. No, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go into the properties of each one and set their visible attribute to hidden. Have I not done one here yet? Maybe 3. Okay, because they will be made visible as each new baby name is generated. Okay, right, so next before we actually code the generate button, let me just rename that as well. New name. So we've got the name of button generate, but the label is new name. Right, so next what we're going to do is If we leave the coding for the generate button till the end, I think. And what we now need to do is get the data for the Latin. We need the Latin text, characters, and the list of aircraft. So okay, let's get the Latin first, and this is from Wikipedia. It's Latin extended A, and here you can see the list of the characters in that character set. So what I want to do is copy all this, and we're going to have to do quite a lot of massaging. Well, I don't think it'd be too bad actually on this, so let's just copy that. And what I think we need to do, we need to put in a couple of fields. We need a field for the Latin and a field for the aircraft list. I'm not too concerned about how these look, how they're placed at the moment, because they will be made invisible when we actually come to finish off the application. So let's just go to the first one, and I'm going to call this FLD Latin, and the other one I'm going to call FLD Aircraft. Do aircraft. Okay, so here's the Latin field, and we're going to paste in there the content. No, actually we're not. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to bring up Notepad and paste the content from the web page in here first, and then copy that out again and then paste it into the field. The reason being is that there could possibly be HTML entities hidden inside the text, and if we pasted those straight into the field here, it may give us a lot of problems later on. So here we go. So here we have this field. Let me just expand it a little bit. That's a bit odd one, isn't that? Expanding. Okay, let's just move that out the way a bit more. Okay. So if we look in the field contents, you can see we've got 3 columns. First column has a character code, the second column is the character, and the third code is an explanation of the character. And what we are after is the second column. So let's put a temporary button in here. And we're going to code this button to actually give us the results, a single column of just the characters, the Latin characters. So let's have a look at let's open that up. And I think actually we'll give it a name, just so we don't get confused, because there will be another button going on there later for the aircraft. ETN, and we're just calling it aircraft, Latin. Okay. And we'll put a mouse up handler in here. And I'll just get rid of the comments at the top. Okay, so let's think about what we need to do here. The Latin. So basically we're just after the second column, or actually, yeah, we're just after the second column. The columns are delimited by a tab, so we need to, before we do anything else, we need to set the item down to tab. Item delta tab, and what that's going to do is it's going to tell LiveCode that any content it comes across will be separated by a tab and can be accessed by skipping tabs. So let's set the item down. So we're next going to have to put a repeat loop in here. Just get that down a bit, and we're going to have to repeat for the number of lines in the field. That's okay, yep. Repeat with I for iteration equals 1 to the number of lines of field, and we called it field Latin. Repeat for I equals 1 to the number of lines field Latin. That is correct. Let's put the return in there. So that will now go through each of the lines in that field. And we now need to get the second column, which in LiveCode speak will be item 2 of the line. So we need to say item, it is item 2, isn't it? Let me just have a look at this. Let me just double check in the properties again. Yeah, item 2. Good. So let's put item 2 of line I, whichever line we're up to at the time, of field. Actually, we can make this a little easier to write. If we take field Latin, and in here I'm going to say put field Latin into, we're going to put a temporary variable in here for the moment, which we're going to call Latin, T Latin. And now, instead of having to write field Latin each time, we can actually iterate through the variable instead of the field, which is actually a lot faster as well, of T Latin. So that's it. Put item 2 of line I of T Latin into, we will put a new, create a new variable, for a temporary variable, and could call it Latin list. It's always good to try and name your variables meaningfully, so that if you come back to your code at a later date, it's very easy to see what the variable is supposed to be holding. So we've done that. So every time it goes through the loop, it will go through one line of the field at a time. It will take out item 2, which should just be the character of each line, and place that into a variable. And what we also need to do is add a return after each character. Otherwise, all the characters will just be in one great long string, which won't be very useful to us later on. So we have that, and now, because we have this return added, we need to make there will be an extra blank line in the field after all the processing is done. So we need to get rid of that, and the easiest way to do that is use the filter command. So we can say filter t Latin list without empty. Empty's right. Empty. So basically it will just remove any empty lines. So then it's simply a matter of then placing our T Latin list back into the field, overwriting what's already in there. So we can now say put T Latin list into field FLD Latin. Okay, let's apply that and save. Just going to have a quick check through before we actually run this. So we're going to set the item down to tab. We have a field Latin, which is going to go into a variable. We've got a repeat loop, which will go through each line. We then have another repeat loop, which will take item 2 of each line and add a return to it, and then add it to another variable. We then get rid of any empty lines, and we then replace the contents of the field with the new variable content. So let's have a look. Let's press it, and oh, what has happened here? So that's not quite as I expected. I can see what I've done wrong here. I've used into instead of after. So into, it will just keep replacing, because we've got a return, it will always go back to the same line. So basically it's just overwriting each character one at a time. So this has to be changed to after, which will then write each new item to the Latin list variable, one after the other, as opposed to over each other, if that makes sense. Right, so I need to quickly grab our I need to grab our Latin again, which is still highlighted, so I can copy that and then just put it. Oh no, you see what's happened here? We've got all these HTML entities. So let's get rid of all that. Let's open up another notepad. I should have left it open actually, just in case something went wrong. Okay, then Control-Alt, Control-C, paste it back in. Should be a lot better. Now let's see what happens. Okay. Why not? Have I not applied the changes? I have not applied the changes. Okay. So Control-B. And there we go. A couple of little hiccups on the way, but we now have a nice list of the characters in the Latin extended character set A. So let me just push that up a bit, and what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to open the properties for these and make them invisible, because we don't actually need them anymore. And for the button, just to make it double safe, I'm going to actually click it disabled. We could remove it altogether, but it's quite good for future reference if you want to make any changes, and take that visible. So now we've got our Latin character set, and it's now time to look at the aircraft. So where did I find those? Let me just copy this. So again, it's Wikipedia. And here is the aircraft list. It's quite a biggie. So again, I'm just going to copy all of these. Ooh, that's a bit fast. Control-C. I can use our Latin table, because we don't Latin instance of Notepad because we don't need it anymore. Let's paste that in and copy it out again and paste it into the aircraft field. Okay, so there we have a nice list of aircraft. Again, it's 3 columns, and this time we're going to be interested in column 1. So actually, it's almost identical to the actions we need to perform, almost identical to, let's just get that out of the way, the Latin. So let's just bring this button up again and make it visible. I'm going to copy that instead of having to do it all again. Oops. Control-C, Control-V. There we go. So we have a new button now, which I'm going to call Aircraft. And I'm going to, again, let's hide that button. So we have an Aircraft button, and let's have a look at the code in there we go. So most of this code remains. The only thing we need to do is change names of variables and the field that it's going to go into. So I think the easiest way to do that is to do edit here, a find and replace, and put Latin in here, aircraft here, what it's going to be replaced with, and replace all. So hopefully now everything's been nicely changed. We have a field called aircraft, temporary variables have been created properly, and the only thing we need to change is, because now we need item 1 of the list, is to change this to item 1, apply it, and I need to make this button active, and let's see what happens. There we go. So let's just resize this a bit, and let's just do a save whilst we're here. So now we have the Latin characters that we need and the list of aircraft designators. Now, in the original version for the Elon Musk baby name has a hyphen between the first letter designator, or maybe the last letter designator, and the first number. So we need to add a little bit more script in here to do that. Right, before we do that, what I'm going to do, let's just go in here into the properties. I'm going to select all, copy them, and put them in Notepad again, so that if anything goes wrong, I can just copy them back. Right, so what do we need to do? So let's think about this. So again, we're going to need to iterate through each of the lines of the field or the variable, and we're going to need to then iterate through the characters on each line and find out where the first numeric character falls, and then add or place a dash before that character, and then write that all back into the field. Okay, so we can actually take that line. We're starting up a loop in here. Number of lines of T aircraft, and because T aircraft will still contain the list that's in this field. We then need to put another repeat loop in there. Let's put a bit of space in there so we can see what we're doing. So we're going to say repeat with, let's call it I2 equals 1 to the number of characters of equals 1 to the number of chars of line I of T aircraft. Of T aircraft. So let's just put a return in there. So we've got a repeat going down each line in the field. Now we need to repeat for each character on each line. So repeat with count is going to equal 1 to the number of characters of whichever line has been picked. Yep, that's okay. So we've got put that repeat in there, end repeat. So how do we? Oh, it's actually really easy. Good old LiveCode. Let's bring our dash. Before char I2 So as we go through each character, when we come to the one which is a numeric, no, we need to put an if in there, folks. We haven't actually designated words there. So if if char I2 of line I of T aircraft is a number, then, and we have an end if here. And to format the text, I'll just quickly hit the tab button on the keyboard, and that automatically formats the script nicely for us. Okay, so if the character we're looking at on the line is a number, then we're going to put a dash before that character. Now what happens if there's more than one number? Okay, so we only want that to happen once. So we want to come out of that repeat loop immediately. So exit repeat. Otherwise what will happen is every time you come to a number, every time it comes to a number on the line, it will put a dash in front of it. So you potentially have, say here, you would have 3 dashes before 3 numbers. So we want to make sure it just does it once. So directly it's found one, and this condition is true. We will then exit the repeat loop, which we're currently in. Yep, so I'm going to apply that. And then aircraft, this should be aircraft. This should be aircraft list. Let's change that to list. Yeah, so it's aircraft list. Okay, so this has to be, yeah, I've got this wrong, because this is the variable we're looking at. So these all have to be replaced with aircraft list. Because at the end of our first little routine, it's T aircraft list contains everything that's in the field, well, it's going to be put into the field. Okay. So then at the end of the repeat, we then need to put T aircraft list back into the field, yeah, into FLD field aircraft, isn't it? Aircraft. So let's just check this. We don't want this to run again. So I'm going to comment out all of this. Apply it. Okay. Because we don't want all the routine in the mouse up handler to repeat. We just want the new bit that we've added in. So let's just have a quick look through this. So yep, I think that looks good. So we've applied. I'm going to save as well. We have a copy of this list in Notepad just in case. Let's see what happens. Ooh, that wasn't good. Okay, let me go and get my Notepad list back. Control C, Control V. Okay, let's see what I've done wrong here. So repeat with I equals want number T aircraft list. Okay. Okay, perhaps the aircraft list doesn't contain the field contents anymore. So let me just copy this out, field aircraft. Into T aircraft list. Let's just try that again before I look at anything else, because that's the first thing that put field aircraft into. Yeah, that's what happens when you copy into T aircraft list. Okay, so that's all that happened. The variable T aircraft list didn't interesting. because that should apply if that's not the same. Okay. Yeah, so basically T-aircraft list didn't have the contents of the field, so we just quickly assigned that. And now we have a nice formatted list where there's a dash placed before the first numeric value on each line. Excellent. Okay, apply and save. Let's close those down. Again, we can set the visible these to hidden. Disable this button for safety and visible hidden. Right. So what's left? All that's left now really is to do the code in the generate button. Yeah, so let's quickly do that. Control E. It's a mouse up handle, of course. Let's get rid of that. Right, so let's just think about what's going to happen here. Every time you press that button, it's going to take a random character from the alphabet, which we haven't done yet. It's going to take a character, it's going to take a line, a random line from the Latin field and a random line from the aircraft field, and then concatenate them together and show one of the three images which we've already added to the stack. So first thing we're going to make sure is every time the button is pressed that the images are not, that any images that have been shown previously on the previous button press are hidden. So we can set the visible of, what is it, image? Oh, correct, image, yeah. Image, and we call them baby 1 to false. And now I can just copy this 3 times, Control V, and just change the number to 1, 2, or 3. Okay, let's just save that. Saving automatically sets the apply to true as well. Okay, that's the first thing we have to do. So basically we're going to have 3 routines, which first one generates the the character from the alphabet, the second one generates the Latin, and the third one generates the aircraft. So instead of putting them all inside the mouse up handler, I think we'll put them in their own little handlers, custom handlers. So we'll define the names of those here. So I'm going to call it, well, let's make it generate variable. So that will be for the alphabet character. Generate Latin, self-explanatory, and generate aircraft. Okay, so these will call 3 routines, which we're now going to define down here. Let's do a save, and so command let's change that to large V. I'm going to copy that so there's no mistake with the spelling. Command get variable, we're going to have a command C generate Latin and a command generate, oh no, generate aircraft. Now that would confuse me later on. Okay, so we now have 3 custom handlers. Now, up until recently, I've always, when I've defined a custom handler, I've always used the on identifier, as with on mouse up, on mouse down, etc. But I read recently in one of the threads on the forums, which you should visit. There's lots of help there, and if you have a problem, there's always somebody who's going to come up with a solution or at least point you in the right direction. Yep, so I always used to use on. So instead of saying command, it would say on generate variable. And what I learned was that LiveCode HQ suggested that you should only use on, should only be used for the inbuilt handlers of LiveCode, and command should be used for the custom ones you generate yourself, which allows you to easily differentiate the two, and that makes a lot of sense. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so let's get to coding. So we are going to, what we're going to do, let's think about this. So what should we do first? Should we generate the baby button? No, actually, let's put the code for the baby in here. We'll make another. Let's keep it all the same. We will make another custom. What's going on here? There it is. Too many spaces. Okay. And command generate image. Control C, Control V. Yes, okay. So let's do. Actually, I want to do the image first because it's really straightforward. So let's do that. So we have 3 images, and we want to pick a random one. So we're going to say put random. Let's think of the syntax for that. It has to be in parentheses 3 into, what should we call it? What should we call it? I want to be it's T-rand baby. That's really self-explanatory. Good. And then we need to set the visible of image actually we need to, let's just bring that down a bit. First we need to, what we need is the word baby and concatenate it with the random number we're generating. It's probably the easiest way to do it, yeah. Put baby and baby. So random number 1 to 3 into T baby selected. Then we're going to say set the visible of image T baby selected to true. So we're going to generate a number between 1 and 3. We're going to put it in a variable called T rand baby. We're going to put that would be a mistake because the first letters are capital. Baby and T rand baby into T baby selected. Okay, I've gone away from my naming conventions here, so let's just get that back in. We're going to set a name 3. Okay, let's have a look, see what happens. There's no code in any of the other custom handlers, so it should just fire off the baby. Ah, yeah, look. Capitals again. And because I copied it, it's mistake 3 times. Okay, let's try again. So why does it say number 3? Set the image of baby 3 to false. Have I not named them all correctly? Ah, yeah, look. Okay. Let's get everything capitalized, which is quite nice. And you have a look at the way that the error has been thrown. It actually points me to the line where the error is, and gives you a nice little explanation here saying that chunk is basically text. That object hasn't been found, so it was looking for a lowercase baby 3 and it couldn't find it. So let's apply, turn off the error handling, and oh, what am I doing? No such object. Set the visible of image baby 3 to false. Baby 3 BABY. Let me just collapse and open these up again just to make sure they have been named. Let's bring up the property inspector. Baby 3 is correct. BAB 3 of image baby 3 to false. Okay, what is going on here? Let me just save this again and run it. Just want to see if it stops at the same place there. No such object, but we do have an image called baby 3. We have a baby 1, baby 2, baby 3. I haven't put anything else in there by the looks of it. Let me just get rid of that line for the moment. Let's see what happens. Okay, it could be because that's number 3 still. Okay, let's have a look at the variables here. So T rand baby is 2, T baby selected is false. Okay. Put random 3 into T rand baby. Put baby. No, but we still shouldn't. Okay, this is a bit perplexing because I have an image called baby 3, here. B-A-B-Y. Come on, there's only 5 characters. B-A-B-Y-3. B-A-B-Y-3. So why is it balking when it comes to doing that? That really doesn't make any sense. I'm wondering whether LiveCode has got a bit confused. What I'm going to do, I've saved this. I'm going to quickly close down LiveCode. Let's save it again anyway. And open up again, because this is rather odd. So we're just waiting for it to load up. It's running a bit slow. Okay, right. File, open recent file. Here we go. Let's try it again. Set the visible of image baby free to false. So it's basically saying that image doesn't exist. Let's bring up project browser again. And there it is. So what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense at all to me. Is there a space in the front? No. Only hidden. Oh, is there a space at the end? That's what it is. There was a space on the end. Okay, so right, let's try again. Good. So we've jumped out of that now, and we've now got an error down here, which is fine because the first problem has been solved. So put random 3 into T rand baby. Good. Put baby and T rand baby. Put baby and silly. I need to concatenate it. That's really silly. So and T rand baby into T baby selected. Set the visible image of T baby selected to true. Okay, let's try this again. Here we go. Okay, silly mistake. Sometimes it's the easiest or the silliest mistake. That's quite often the hardest to spot. Anyway, that's working. We got the baby changing on every button press. You could also, it would be quite interesting to have more images in there. Then you'd need to put a check in to make sure that the last image picked isn't the same as the new random generated one, just to make sure we get a new image each time. But for this video, I think we'll keep this as it is for the moment. Okay, so let's do our variable. So in command generate variable, we need to put the letters of the alphabet into a, yeah, okay, so let's put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, make sure X. I've got a funny keyboard here. Y, Z. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, here. Okay, and we need to do the same. Let's put caps on A, B, C, D, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. I can't remember to write that time. Take caps lock off, otherwise that's going to give me problems. And we're going to put that into a new variable called T. What should we call it? It has to be something quite nice and easy. You can put it into character string. What about char string? Char string. So character string. Okay. We then have to pick one random character from that string. So we need to do another. Put the random 26 letters alphabet times 252 into T and we'll call it number this time. Move it to T rand number. We then need to put the character char T rand number. No, T random. T rand number of T char string so put random number, so number whatever it is of the string into a new variable which we'll call T what should we call it? I don't know. Let's call it char result. No, let's call it variable result because that's what the first letter is. It's the unknown variable. So we're going to call it G variable result. Okay. So that should do what we want. I'm just going to check this. I'm going to put answer T variable result. And let's have a look. It's P, U. So that's working nicely. Okay, good. Let's get rid of answer. And save. So generate variable is done. We've got the first part sorted. Now that variable is going to be passed back into this mouse up handler. So at the moment it says script local variable. It means it's only available to the script that it's running in, but we need to make it available to basically anything on in the mouse object. So we need to declare that up here. Local T. Oops. Dun. So that's what we want to see. Local T variable result. And we will also end up, so that variable is now available to all the scripts in the button object, the button control. So we will also end up with two more results, one coming from the Latin and one coming from aircraft. So let's put another couple of local variables in there. T Latin result and T aircraft result. Save that. So now these three variables are now available to the whole of the scripts. So let's do Latin. So Latin, again, we have a list and we just need to let's think about this. Right, let's make sure first that the T Latin variable is empty. So put empty into, it should still be there, yep. So just make sure that's cleared before we start this routine. So we don't want any complications from it having a value from the last time it was filled. So what do we need to do? We need to, right, so we need to put filled FLD Latin. This is our nice hidden field with our characters into T Latin list. And then we're going to say, so we're now going to say put the number of lines of T Latin list into what should we call it? Yeah, T Latin list lines. T Latin list lines number. It's quite a long one, but at least it's really descriptive. Okay, let me just put some more space here. Put the number of lines of T Latin list into that, and now we need to iterate. So we want two characters. So we need to repeat 2 times. And in here, what we need to do, we need to we need to put random, random, and it's this number, isn't it? Because that's a, okay, random B after. Right, so let's have a look at this. Is that it? I think it is. So we're going to make sure that the result variable is empty. We put in the hidden field into a variable called Latin list. We're then taking the number of lines of Latin list and put that into another variable which we'll use to give us a ceiling for a random number generator. We want 2 letters, so I'm going to repeat, put a repeat twice loop in, and then we're going to take a random number from the number of lines that we have in. No, put random, that doesn't do anything. Okay, so that gives us that's wrong. Into T, let's say Latin line selected. Okay, into, and then we need to get the line out of, yeah, put line of our Latin list into our result variable. Let's just save that. And then I'm going to put an answer in here again, just to make sure it's all working. Right, let's go again. That looks good. 2 of them. 2 of them, excellent. But we want it after. Excellent. Let's just get rid of this extra space. There's not a lot of code here, so it doesn't really matter. There's not too much white space here. Okay, so we now have Latin, and we now have the variable, and we just have to do basically, it's almost the same for the Latin for what we're going to do for the aircraft. So what I'm going to do, take that code, put it in here, and we need to change some of the variables. So this is going to be, actually, what have we got here? T variable result, it should be T variable this should be T Latin result. Latin result, that makes more sense. Okay, so, and this must be Latin. So generate aircraft. So this is going to be, the variable we're returning is going to be called aircraft. Aircraft result, put field. There's a lot of aircrafts to be changed here, so it's going to be Control V T. So I'm just changing all the instances, excuse me, all the instances of Latin to aircraft. Because the code is almost the same. I'll leave that for the moment, but we need to change that. This has to be T aircraft result, which I should have up here, I hope. C variable result, C Latin result, C aircraft result, good. We only want one of these, so we don't need this repeat. So we take that out. And I'm just going to put an answer in here, which is going to be T aircraft result. Apply it. Let's see what we get now. We have a error. Okay, put field aircraft in T aircraft list. Put random. Yeah, we need this. I didn't do that, so put the number of lines, let's type it out properly this time, lines of field, no, well, T aircraft list, into T aircraft list number, T aircraft list lines number, put the number of lines of T aircraft list into T aircraft list numbers. Okay, that should work. No. Source expression. Put the number of lines of T aircraft list into T aircraft list lines number. Put random T aircraft list number into T. Now it will work. Okay. Except that it's not. Okay. So we've emptied our result. We put field aircraft into T aircraft list. We want the number of lines of T aircraft list, and we're putting it into T aircraft list lines number. We put in a random T aircraft list lines number into T aircraft line selected. We then put line T aircraft line selected of T aircraft. I'm sure you spotted that before I did. After T aircraft into, there's only one, so it could be into, answer T aircraft result. Okay. PC12 is at 50. 20. Okay, so all three of our custom handlers now are doing their job. So we now just need to add it all together and put it and output it into our name field. So we need to take, put T variable result, and there was a space. We can do that by using the double ampersand concatenation symbol. You put one between two items, then they get concatenated directly together. You put two, then it concatenates but puts a space in between the items. So put T variable result, and next has to be the Latin. So it's okay. That's going to be a problem. Let's make sure it's uppercase. Thank you. And let's copy it so there's no mistake. The and the aircraft into field. Now what do we call it? Baby name, I think it was called, wasn't it? Label result into field OPR result. let's save that, and I think we're done. Let's have a look. Let me get rid of that. Answer dialog check I put in here, and let's try again. Something doesn't look quite right there. We're not getting the Latin, are we? Well, we're getting the Latin. T Latin result. Latin. Latin result. Okay, let's try again. Here we go. This is more like it. So there we are. So most of the work we had to do was actually on massaging the data that we put into the Latin and the aircraft fields. But that's it. We now have our working Elon Musk type baby name generator. So that's really it. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you'd like to be notified when I add the next one, then please subscribe. I plan to actually start loading these up a bit more regularly now. I learnt my lesson from trying to do it live. It didn't work very well. So yeah, that's it. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, cheerio.